So we are live.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yes, yes.
Honest to God, I thought turkeys could fly.
Go for it. Oh, yep, sorry.
I thought we hit 6 o'clock, let's go ahead and get this thing started, meeting order. This is going to be kind of a more informal one, we're not going to go over meeting minutes from last time around. I'm just going to get down to discuss some of the things that we need to tackle for next week, or not next week, the week after, understood, it's 2 weeks out. And that covers the comprehensive plan. You want to fill us in as to where you've got on that then?
Chris, if you don't mind explaining why we need an ETJ with the comprehensive plan.
So in your new comprehensive plan or revised comprehensive plan, Indiana code requires a rewrite of the comprehensive plan to have an ETJ agreement between the municipality and the county. So that's what this agreement is that we're going to go over today. That means that you can have you basically have the boundaries and the future land use map in your comprehensive plan, but then you also need the ETJ agreement as well. They, because you're rewriting your comp plan, you should approve those simultaneously, if you will, or get the comp plan approved and then get the ETJ agreement adopted as well. It would take the comp plan is not considered an ordinance, so I'm not sure, Don, what that means as far as approvals from the Plan Commission to the City Council. Same with the ETJ, it's not an ordinance, it's just an interlocal, so I don't know how many readings that takes, actually. I was thinking about that today. But anyway, so are you going through the comp plan today too, or just
No,
just the ETJ agreement?
Yes.
So
We've been through the comp plan except for the future land use map. That's, in my opinion, the only thing we'll actually have to go through before our public hearing is just have you guys agree on the land use map. And I will send that out beforehand. It's something that was never in the comp plan, but it should be. So Chris is going to help you with that.
This is going to be an addendum to at the tail end of it.
Yes,
Correct.
it'll be at the tail end. Yep.
And then
Everything else, all the substance is the same. We updated some of the, sewage lines. We put updated pictures in it, took the numbers and got more recent numbers because this,
recent data.
census numbers, so recent data. The only copy that we really had of it was PDF, put it into Word, formatted it correctly, made it so it can be edited later if we need to.
updated some of the photos.
Updated photos, that kind of stuff. The only thing I don't have in it is new photos. That's the only thing I don't have in it right now. And future land use map.
Yeah,
And I said I was gonna blame this on Chris, so.
it's true. We just don't have mapping software right now with our
Mapping
Cyber
software is down
incident.
currently, so.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, so we'll get that piece in, and then what I would like to do, and what I would ideally like to do, is we really wanna get this in and get it done before the end of the year. We were hoping August initially, November, not that big of a deal, it's been out there forever, let's get it done.
Yeah.
So as soon as we're done here, I'd like to agree, yes, the ETJ is good, or we need an update or two, and go ahead and schedule a public hearing. Come in, actually, do you mind explaining?
Yeah, so we'd schedule the public hearing. It'd be a recommendation from the Plan Commission to the City Council, and then the City Council would have their readings of the comprehensive plan. And then I think at the same time, you would also approve or give a recommendation for approval of the interlocal agreement. And basically the interlocal agreement is just defining what currently happens with the ETJ between the city and the county. It just puts it in writing. That way there's no confusion when staff turnover happens or there's just questions about who is in charge or who has authority of what.
Will that be a standalone document in addition to, we just put a pointer into to the, comprehensive plan to.
Correct, they would be standalone documents, because if one needs to be approved, it's not
Tying up the other.
tying up the other one.
Okay.
That would be separate documents.
And my thought here was, let's go ahead and get ours done. Let's move the comprehensive plan forward, get city council to approve it in hopefully early November. Same with the extraterritorial jurisdiction interlocal agreement, then send it over to the county for them to do both of their pieces at the same time. Chris, most of this is, Chris gave his boilerplate. I mean, this is very similar to what they have with every other city that they're doing this with. There are a couple minor changes and just some thoughts I wanted to discuss with you guys, being the plan commission. Went back and forth on a couple of different topics. So I want to discuss that as we go through this. The other part of this is, when I went and presented this to the plan commission for the county, there were some questions. Some things have changed. I don't know what year that was, but technically, the city used to be able to just pretty much say, we're taking this up to 2 miles as ETJ. And
As long as it was in your comprehensive plan, that
Right.
your area that you're focusing on.
but the county didn't have a lot of recourse. There wasn't, hey, we can deny this. They can deny us now. It's in the code that they could say, we don't agree with this.
Right.
So,
It's going back and forth over the years.
yeah.
They go.
Oh, has it really?
Yeah.
So-
Long enough to say.
And I'm assuming it can kind of go both ways too, because I mean, if they go, well, we don't like this, we propose this, and we can go back and say, well, we don't like that, but we can do this as well and get to a common ground, right?
Theoretically, yes, the county, it gives the county more teeth to say, hold up, just because you adopt it in your comprehensive plan, if you're gonna take let's just go dramatic and say 2 miles, you don't need to, right? Like
And we don't want to.
that's a lot. Well, but some municipalities do.
Some would,
in-
yes.
in
Well, I mean, if you want
Indiana.
for taxation or TIF or land development or something like that, but
Right.
you might be incurring that you're getting into infrastructure from the county, from like maybe electrical lines or.
Well, and we don't, there are scenarios where we kind of don't want the responsibility that far out. You know, Butler's not gonna grow 2 miles in the next however many years. This can be redone.
Right,
If we were to grow substantially. So it makes sense for us to have some control over the nearby city area.
and now what this does is it gives the county some ability to say, hold up, you've not developed this yet, we're gonna rein that back in, or.
And it also gives them the understanding of what you would expect to see there as well. So even if they wanted to do something, then they go, oh, we see that you have these wishes.
Yeah, and I think the intent was probably to require, or to give the ability to the county to have more, or to at least allow for discussion between the municipality and the county, where there probably wasn't before.
Right.
To say, you know, we want to expand this way, or the county saying, hold on, you're actually using this area, we'd like to see this at blah.
So when I took it to the county planning commission, there were some concerns. You know, we are asking, as part of the ETJ agreement, we are actually want to expand our extraterritorial jurisdiction. And it makes sense if you look in the ETJ agreement, about halfway through Exhibit A. So that dark shaded region outside of the red lines, that's what we had before. That was our ETJ. So really, the expansion of this is mostly just squaring off that ETJ. We have the same amount south as we have north. And we fill in that little box that just goes north. You're on the wrong one, Stuart. That's not the interlocal, but the same picture's right there on the first page of that one.
Yep.
Go to page 6 of that.
But it's just, we're wanting to take this red part because it's not currently our extraterritorial, it's just the rest, and we want to make that part of it, which gives us a nice little area around the city. We're not trying to take, you know, our city limits go all the way to the west edge. We're not trying to expand that. We don't really need that. But we're trying to kind of square that off. This was not proposed by me. This has been proposed through 2 city planners.
Since 2024.
No, before that.
Well, yeah, it was drawn, I guess.
It was drawn and suggested and recommended 2 city planners ago. But now that we're passing the comprehensive plan, this makes sense for Butler to have zoning control over that. It makes sense for us to go ahead and bring it to the county. So,
Especially since the comprehensive plan didn't even include the elementary school where it's currently at, so you might as well envelop it for the patio on the south side.
right. Yep. So really what I wanted to do was walk through some of this extraterritorial jurisdiction interlocal agreement and just talk about a few of the topics as we go through. Like I said, a lot of this is boilerplate. We're not gonna review the first, and Don, I want you to look close at this as well.
I looked over it, we did it today.
Yeah.
And then not to interject, we do have an audience. I didn't know if they were participating and wanting to hear the.
You are more than welcome to participate in this discussion, for sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, yep.
Just want to make sure I didn't know if you had
Your
questions
muscles
before.
memory.
Not yet, I know. We pretty much covered all
Understood. Yep.
But give you time.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just go through this, kind of section by section. Chris, I'm not gonna ask you to read them, I'm just gonna ask you to kind of explain. So let's start on drainage on page 2.
You're under 2.5
Yep, 2.5.
of page 2.
Yep.
So the zoning part basically just gives the authority for the city of Butler to have zoning authority within that ETJ. With that, meaning the development standards within there for drainage in the extraterritorial jurisdiction, those projects should be reviewed and approved by the DeKalb County Drainage Board. Obviously, as you guys know, there's no city sewer or city stormwater systems out there. So having those reviewed by the county drainage board makes sense for really any type of projects you have, whether it's a subdivision or a large industrial development site.
And we don't have staff for that, so it makes sense
Right.
that the county continue to do that for us.
Yep, and the county does that as well for even the city of Auburn. Now, they have obviously their own city engineer on staff, but the city or the county still does review and approve any of the developments that happen within their ETJ. And again, this is stuff that is already happening. We're just putting it in an actual document. Floodplain management requires the city to have a flood control ordinance of some sort, and then making sure that you are meeting that outside it within the ETJ. I don't know how much of this area is even in a flood zone. Probably not much. Wellhead protection, which I don't think there's even any wellhead protections that you guys are within.
We actually,
You are?
we have a wellhead protection area in the city.
Okay,
And we
okay.
have that documented.
Okay.
And restrictions based
Good.
on that. Yep. Yep.
So that's already there. That just basically, means that you're gonna comply with what our standards are in the county. And probably you have those same standards within the city as well.
Instead of standardized EPA wellhead protection type of guidance, or is that state, county?
So ours is within our UDO, for
So
wellhead
is ours.
protection. Okay, theirs is too.
Yeah.
So, the standards for that protection and what can be developed within there is within the UDO.
I just didn't know if those specifications were outlined and followed by.
I would imagine there's something you have to do based on.
Yeah, I would assume so too. I would have to look at the ordinance. and
But we
see.
may have
In fact,
extra
We've
restrictions.
never, not gonna wood, had to use it within there because it's so confined to a certain rate of absorption within that.
Because it's like soil and
Right.
drainage.
Excavation activities, again, just basically meaning that you're gonna meet what the county has as far as excavation. Sewer hookup, this is something Andrew and I discussed a little bit, that requiring new development and the construction of homes within 300 feet of a gravity sewer system to hook up to the municipal sewer. So that would mean within your ETJ, if you're within 300 feet of a gravity sewer only, you would have to hook up to that sewer. I don't even know.
And this is not gonna be a scenario that's gonna be exercised very often. And we added a specific piece in here because of that.
The very last.
We don't have sewer going to the entire ETJ. We're not gonna force people onto our sewer. This basically has verbiage in here that says, if it's gonna cost someone $10,000 for a sewer or septic, right? And it's gonna cost $20,000, so 2 times more to hook into the city sewer, they don't have to do it. Now, that was boilerplate. At the end, the only part we really added into this was the city of Butler has the right to allow a development to forgo city sewer connections. So if it makes 0 sense for us to run sewer there, if it's a scenario where it would be, let's say it was gonna cost them an extra $9,000, in that scenario where it's not double, but do we really wanna force them? Just to give us an easy out to say, no, we're not gonna try to charge someone in the extraterritorial, a ton of extra money.
Now, would there also be a clause conversely, meaning that if they did want to, would there be a benefit or a reduction in cost possibly for them?
There is the ability for the city to help make up the difference within this.
Yep, so the city may bridge the financial gap on the project where sewer hookup will exceed the 2 times. But also that would be,
If they want that, we're not gonna do that just because they want it.
Right.
It could cost us $150,000 to get a sewer system to them, and
Right.
there's other stuff with that in our code specifically.
Right. Just gonna say
We
that.
have our own code for this. This was just, as far as the extraterritorial jurisdiction, we're not just gonna, spend $1 million.
Yeah, you're not
bring
gonna
someone
mandate
sewer.
it, but you
Yeah.
don't wanna spend it just on somebody building a house.
Yes.
Right. No, I understand.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, if it was a subdivision or something like that, it might be more.
Right.
it might make sense.
Yep. And there is, stuff in here about that as well, so it's cumulative, so if you had a subdivision with 4 houses and it was cumulative, those ratios would change.
Any other questions on that section? Subdivision control on page 4, just requires that, the city follow your city subdivision control ordinance, which basically means that if someone's coming in to do a subdivision, they're gonna follow your standards.
As opposed to the counties,
For the subdivision,
for
yeah.
the subdivision,
Right.
yeah.
When the only part of that you would have to comply with the county is for the drainage and then the street standards. Obviously, this is within the ETJ, which means that the county would be maintaining any potentially new public roads that may, be within there. So you wanna make sure that those streets are up to the standards of the county, which are probably similar to what yours are.
They are, yeah.
Addressing, which we do now as well, and outside the ETJ, within the ETJ that is currently there, coordination of new addresses, following the address scheme of the county, and following the standards for those green address sign.
And when there's a new one, we do this anyways, this is
Yep.
exactly what we're doing today.
Yep.
Does the county do that and update the USPS, or does the USPS have to stay in the database that you guys work off of?
So we actually update the USPS, and Andrew does as well. We have an address committee email list that goes to basically everybody that needs it. USPS, assessor's office, even the other municipalities, so they know there's a new address.
The last time I did this, I took a physical letter to ours,
Right.
but getting their contact info so I can add them to that.
Well, I know how fast it gets updated, because I'm also part of the planning of my other facilities, so it's just like, I just didn't know who ran what, where, so, and I know sometimes the USPS validation is kind of a little bit of a, I won't say handcuffing, but added a couple more days to submissions to addresses, yeah. They just want to make sure it's all standard and nobody
Yeah.
else says
So
something.
them putting it in within their system is up to them. But yeah, state law requires that the planning commissioners or administrator provide the address.
So somebody come in with a subdivision, and they want to name all the streets a particular pattern, they would submit that to the county, and then they would either approve it or change it or say.
Right.
Okay.
On part 4, on page 5, is the permitting, administration, petitions, appeals, and enforcement. So obviously, just making sure that they're following your improvement location permit requirements, that they are, the city is receiving the submittals, collecting the payments, reviewing the plans, making sure that it's following your planning commission and BZA hearings if they're needed, and approving those, and then also going through the Board of Zoning Appeals within the ETJs through your hearing officer, which is me, and your planning commission to decide any rezoning requests, plan development stuff.
So if someone wanted to make a big subdivision within the ETJ, they would come to us to review that. If they needed a variance, I mean, this is the biggest difference, right? So if they need a variance, they're gonna come to our BZA or our hearings officer. If they need permits, instead of going directly to the county, they're gonna come to me. Now, I'm gonna subsequently hand them to the county because the county does our building permits for us, but I would have to give them an improvement location permit. So,
And there's nothing in here that basically points to using, county services for permits and all that.
That's all defined elsewhere in another interlocal agreement, yeah.
I didn't know if it had to be in here type of deal.
No, I wouldn't, just because if it changes, then you're having to update.
Two times.
Two times. There's your extraterritorial determination area. Again, as Andrew explained, expanding your ETJ just to the south and to the southwest, to box that off, if you will. Andrew, do you want to add anything to that? I think you kind of went over everything anyway, but, and if this expands, even if it's expanding your, we'll have to go through that. That's some skipping ahead of myself.
So to change the ETJ, we have to then go to the county and get permission?
So there's two ways you can do that. We took that out of here, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, is the answer. So you'd have to update your comprehensive plan and then update your ETJ agreement. So if so you're going to the county with just a new, here's what we're proposing, are you okay with it? They would have to recommend approval.
And we're doing it in one fell swoop. Yeah, we're getting ready to pass our comprehensive plan.
And once we get them in place, then you can update them separately, but you prefer to do one prior to the other, because that would establish the reason why you're doing the updating your ETJ, correct?
Basically, just simultaneously, yes, the one's gonna get approved before the other.
You prefer to do them simultaneously,
Yeah.
but you could, but
Yeah,
you want to.
I mean, I wouldn't wanna do them like a year apart, just
No.
because you need to establish, there's things to establish.
Hopefully we've got it ironed out, so you're only updating a few sentences here and there.
Right. And then section 6 on page 7 is, kind of some good legal jargon stuff in there. And then when the agreement would be, reviewed and approved. Section 6 is, that basically we're going to do a quote unquote formal review and amend if necessary on a 4-year basis. Basically if nothing changes, it just automatically extends.
It holds until it's changed or severed.
Correct. And there's in there as well, it can be terminated by the county commissioners for cause. Just kind of some legal stuff in there to save face, if you will.
Other than that, it's mostly signatures of groups, et cetera.
2 suggestions. Obviously, the signatures on there will actually include date of approval and all that.
Yep.
You've only got page numbers, you don't have page numbers of, so I don't know if I'm missing page 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
That just makes things a little bit easier for a standalone document. And then I don't know if you want to have a revision or a revision history. I know that this is the first draft, so you probably want to have a subsection for revision history, just put new, and then the next time we revise it, you put the why we revised it.
I mean, it's gonna be good for our record keeping, so.
I found that it works very well when you're talking about codifying things like this, that way you can kind of go, if you lose a copy, then you can at least go, oh, this is why we changed the price. Yeah, exactly. And I'm assuming this is kind of a rough draft, I don't know whether or not we're having any letterhead or anything like that, or anything, maybe it looks pretty.
I hadn't planned on it.
Probably wouldn't, just because it would be a recorded document, so you're probably not gonna put any letterhead on it. The exhibits on page 14 and 15 and 16, I guess Andrew can go over the tape. Exhibit E, Exhibit B, C, and D are all county standards from the county highway department on what they require for their road types and within their right of ways. So all of that is what has been
Statewide approved.
at least countywide approved by Ben Parker and the highway department for the city of Auburn, Waterloo, Garrett, soon to be Butler. So that's just kind of what the standards have been. And again, this is just within the ETJ, it's not citywide. just within the ETJ. And then obviously if a development would come, within the ETJ, the highway department's gonna be involved in that technical review process, of what their construction standards are for that development.
And it'll be patching into public access.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Exhibit E is when we bring our ETJ down, there are already existing zoning districts that are the counties. So we have to translate that to our zoning districts. It's gonna become one of our zoning districts, okay? So the general one that we see is actually Territorial, and it's our ag district, okay? In this scenario, if you look at that second sheet, so it has that page on there of what we're, gonna expand to. But the next page shows, so the blue is technically, that is residential 2.
And this is currently county zoning.
Yeah.
Right, so like your ETJ is currently your ETJ, what he's talking about what the extension
Yes.
is proposed
Yes.
to be. Yeah.
And
So-
we're just basically saying that we're gonna adopt what the county has for this, because that's what they're currently set up for the county specification.
No, we're gonna take it over, they're gonna abide by our zoning districts.
Okay.
So we need to decide what zoning.
Ours are
districts we
superseding
want.
theirs, we're not adopting theirs.
Yes,
Correct.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So we have a mixture of the county has a mixture of heavy industrial, agriculture, and residential.
And you can see that in the red is over on the west side is the heavy industrial. Next to that, the green is agricultural, and then the far east side, is the R2, that medium density residential.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, R2, yep.
Yep.
So we don't have R1, R2, R3. We have Old Town Residential, which is for smaller lots. We have single family residential. The best thing we have to equate this is single family residential. Now, before we go further with that, agriculture, we do have an ag district. And we do have heavy industrial. So we can account for all of these. This exhibit shows all of the uses that would be allowed and special exception uses that would be allowed, based on our zone. Now, here's where I went back and forth about this. So technically, there are some things that are different between ours and theirs. One of the biggest being the ability to have large scale farms on agriculture, okay? Most of these chunks aren't extremely large, so I went back and forth on whether or not we should add to the ordinance a historical use. And it became much harder to do, record, and maintain. I also originally was under the impression that much more of this was agriculture than was actually agriculture, okay? Those could be sent to BZA as well anyways.
Right.
So if they wanted to do something here, it could go to the BZA and it could be, ask for an exception. So heavy industrial comes in easy. Residential, in my opinion, comes in easy. Ag was my only concern there. But these are also, sectioned off pretty decently. It's not like it's, 1,000 acres, et cetera.
Right, it's all
Yeah.
relatively small.
It is, and it's right next to the city. I don't think that we need to do a historical. I think we would have them take that for a special exception, a use variance, basically, like they would come to the BZA for that. Now, I did speak with Malcolm's, and this R2, this whole section here on the east side, southeast side here, is, and actually, I think I have that.
You have it highlighted, yeah.
Yeah, so on the next page, I actually have that highlighted to an extent there. But it's zoomed in, it's that R2 right there. It's kind of goes down, over, up. That's a lot of land right there. Everyone was under the impression that that was agricultural. I would like to absorb that into our ETJ as agricultural, not as residential. It makes sense because it's not residential at all.
It's not heavily developed yet either. I mean, you see
Right.
a couple houses on the corners and that's
Right.
pretty much about it. And there's creeks and.
Yep, there's a carve out for a different family, and then there's the Malcolm's Home place right there at the very, very corner. But this is all farmland. It makes more sense in my mind to bring that in as agricultural and just make that, since we're making a zoning change anyways to our zones, we might as well bring it in as agricultural instead of residential. Thoughts on that?
And they have the ability, obviously, to petition the planning commission and rezone that if they would potentially have some large developer come in and want to do a 500 lot subdivision or something.
Right.
So they can figure out how to go through that process. I think it makes sense to keep it agricultural. I'm not sure why, when the county redid their UDO in 2009, that was made as R2. Except for the fact that the school is right there, potentially there would be a larger
That's the
subdivision.
only thing that I'd be concerned with is whether or not that would be a
Yeah.
residential or agricultural, but I mean, you can almost draw a straight line from the back of the school, straight down.
And it would make sense.
Hate to use that phrase, bifurcate it, and call
Yeah.
one residential and call the other agricultural, but then that makes it hard for them to sell that land if they wanted to.
And they can always rezone.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
the saleability of properties based on the zoning is so obsolete much anymore, because you can go through the process
Of
to
changing.
get a rezone.
Okay.
The other
Make
part about
sale of
this-
the property contingent upon the approval of the rezone.
this is a family of farmers. I very much doubt that they're gonna get rid of farmland.
It's never gonna go
Is this
anywhere.
Dean?
This is Dean, yeah.
It's never gonna go anywhere.
I mean, it's farmland. I think it should be brought in as ag. The
Are you
center,
thinking just the highlighted purple area? Or the entire, you're thinking all of the R2?
basically all the farmland. This here
Yep.
actually has a bunch of houses.
So keep that as R2.
Keep that residential. That's the main, Broadway coming out of Butler to the sides of that. That is, I mean, there's
So
houses.
you're thinking just the lighter blue with
Yes, that
R2?
whole section
Gotcha.
there, the lighter color.
Yeah, work around that CR 34 cutout, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still R2, but everything else.
Yep. R2 there in the center sections and just that cutout, because it's one big farm field. That's all
Yeah,
it
I
is.
think it makes sense.
And it's,
Farm all the way out to one.
Yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah,
So,
Which is agricultural for us.
yeah.
In
Right.
Cobb County, yeah.
yep. It makes more sense. And if we're going through a rezone anyways, basically, we're rezoning it as part of this, we might as well bring it into what it really is. Other than that, I don't see any issues as far as the others, bringing them in, translating it to heavy industrial, translating it to single-family residential, and translating it to our ag.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My own ignorance is in my way here, so I have to ask. There's no rule that says the school can't be next to agricultural, right?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure, because I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only reason I can figure out why they did it. I'm trying to figure out why they did it. And
Well, I think
That's all we
somebody,
needed.
I think that was actually where the school is, I think that was actually agricultural to begin with.
Right.
And I think it was a donation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, why they would move.
Technically, my family had to own the school ground. So it was, yeah, they farmed it, it was my grandparents' property, and, it was always agriculture. So the school moved to an agriculture and rezoned to,
I've been here long enough, I remember that school didn't exist.
oh, yeah. So if everyone's good with that, that's what I intend to do when we bring these in, is make that back. And I don't see any reason not to. I will get an okay from the landowners, just because I think it's better that they're on board with that. Or if they have some pressing reason they don't want the R2, then they need to come to the public hearing, the agricultural, then they should come to the public hearing and voice that.
Can we rezone without asking them?
You can.
Really?
You can go through,
I guess that's surprising.
when you're doing this type of project, public notice is still required. So to them and in the newspaper. But when you're doing this large of an area, you don't have to notify
I was
all
gonna
the
say,
property owners.
but yeah, we, public notice and, newspaper, but I technically don't have to send each landowner a letter, correct? I intend to,
You better.
because
Right, it just covers your base.
Uncertainty creates
well,
problems.
no, so that's, but that's one of the things I want to,
And you've talked to some of the landowners.
Yes. but I want everyone to realize that, like, legally, no, but yes, morally, bring them in. Like, we want them to come in and voice their opinion.
It's more than that, because, it's kind of like vacating alleys under Indiana law. In my opinion, Indiana law hasn't caught up with Scalia's Supreme Court decision, which says when you take or affect a property right substantially, you can't do it by notice. You
Okay,
have to do it by consent.
Mhm.
So, I have a real concern that someday, somebody's gonna litigate that.
Realize
issue.
that.
It's like an eminent domain type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's gotta be some sort of compensation if you start doing something like that. And hence the consent.
Yeah, and if you have somebody that's zoned agriculture and you want to make it, I don't know, residential, and they don't want it.
yeah,
Even though it may not affect them immediately, I'd be concerned about it.
yeah. I mean, I want them all in here. Like, I want to make sure they're all notified individually and that they have a chance to talk. So, and I had a conversation with Dean even as of today, to see if he had time to come out here. I believe he will be at the public hearing for us. So,
We're showing corn.
he's busy in the fields.
He's still on beans.
Yep, he's on beans. I was gonna say, he's like,
He's got about 200 acres left of beans, and then he's gonna plant, so.
something to note here, in general, that is half of that parcel. This parcel is changed, or it has multiple, it's part of, that tiny little chunk on top is already in the ETJ. The chunk that's highlighted there is R2. The bottom half is agricultural, so, and, A1 and A2. So technically, there's 4 different designations on this one
Yeah,
parcel.
the addition was an L, but there was already an edge coming out, yeah.
No, I'm talking about
Oh,
this,
just that
just
section.
this large chunk here has 4 designations on it already. And it's those 4 designations, so it's a huge chunk. I mean, it's 500 some acres.
638.
Does, would you like a sheet?
I'm okay.
Okay. So the only other thing I really wanted to discuss, when I went to the DeKalb County Planning Commission to discuss this, there were some phone calls made to people, that we were going to be basically possibly charging them more money, changing tax rates, and that kind of thing. And
Don can probably speak to this too, how
Yes.
property is zoned does not affect how your property is assessed.
yes,
What it's used for is how it.
right.
Exactly. What the current use of the
What
property
you
is.
can do with it, not what you're being charged. These show land, assessor's office records for the property we were just talking about, as well as SDI. I think in my mind, SDI is like the perfect example of this. SDI has a bunch of buildings. They're getting charged heavy industrial rates where those buildings are, but they have a lot of vacant land around it. So even though the whole thing is zoned heavy industrial, they can add another building because it's heavy industrial. But that part that is vacant land, they're not being charged heavy industrial for that.
So the square footage of the building.
Yeah, yep. So just so everyone's aware, if you want to trail this through, you can walk that right through these pictures, and it shows that property we were just talking about, and it shows the different types as well as the different assessments. But then it goes to SDI and shows, this is all heavy industrial, but here they're getting charged here for heavy industrial on this parcel. And on this parcel where there's no buildings, even though it's heavy industrial, they're not being charged heavy industrial rate. So all of that to say, when we change zoning, we do not change tax rates for people. It's not gonna affect them. I know after I spoke at Planning Commission for the county, there was some concern spread around. So I wanted to make sure that it was here, and then obviously each landowner, I would like them to know that as well.
They expect this as being more like, city expansion and incorporation.
Right, we're not annexing
We're not.
and adding taxes to their land. We're just taking control of the zoning process. So we get to approve their permits, we get to take them to our BZA hearings, that kind of stuff.
It's just a change process.
Yep, change of process and venue for that process. Yes.
Good.
That's really about all I have. I wanted your guys' input. I wanted to make sure you were good with, bringing that ag chunk or that residential chunk in as ag instead. Make sure you were okay with the language in here, if you had any recommendations, suggestions. And if not, I will get a public hearing scheduled, send out letters to all the landowners, put it in the paper, and we'll make a final decision on comprehensive plan and this together. It will then move forward to the city council to approve both of those. And then it will move on to the county for them to approve the interlocal agreement. They don't have to approve our comprehensive plan, but they'll have to approve the interlocal. Thoughts?
And this is a rough draft of that said document, other than a couple of things that I had asked about for the.
Yeah, this is boilerplate what they use. So those things you had mentioned, I'll definitely add those in. I'm not gonna put a letterhead because it's
No, understood.
like the rest, yeah.
I just figured if we made sure that we reviewed this.
Those
prior to the
were-
Next time if we had any comments, so we could reach out to you and say.
Yeah, those were easy, quick changes. I'm gonna add those changes and send it back out to everyone in
That's
email.
not fun, especially down there at the bottom, and
Yep.
history people. would
Yep.
be able to-
And actually a question for Don on here, because that was part of it that you had mentioned early on the signatures. I put first, second, third reading here. Is that necessary?
Is that required for city council on?
It's not required, it doesn't, if they do it on different dates, it's best to have that.
Yeah, but do you require 3 readings?
No, we require two unless there's a suspension of the rules.
Okay.
That's what it was. Okay, yeah.
That's.
I'm gonna leave them there then. We can always mark off third reading.
Mark off or-
if-
And just.
Or just put the same date.
Same date.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Anything else I should change in that section?
I assume they'll accept it on the attestation, the recording on the attestation of the clerk treasurers that they have in the past, as opposed to notarized signatures, because it's gonna be recorded.
Right.
Comments in here about social security numbers.
Yeah, you have to have that on, your recital to get it recorded.
And most
The
of our
recorder's
stuff,
office requires that.
most of our stuff does not. So as I've been redoing things for us based on county documents, I've been adding that into all of the templates.
If you don't have it, that little stamp or recorder's office.
Or you have to write it in by,
Yeah.
they stamp it in there.
Yeah.
I'm not putting any social security numbers in this document.
Except Sandy's.
Anything anymore.
It'll get leaked out somehow or another.
Sandy, from a county perspective, does that seem reasonable? Okay. Good.
As simple as it is, it's 15 pages with mostly tables at the tail end, so it should be pretty easy to get a review between now and easily next week. Yeah.
And, barring any major issues, in a few weeks, we'll have a approved comprehensive plan by us, moved on to the city council, and this moving on towards the county.
Now, since next week will be, not next week, I keep saying that, the next meeting will be a public meeting, obviously, do the announcement. Are they gonna be able to review, the public would be able to review the comprehensive plan and all that prior to?
We can put it up on the website.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't see any issue with that.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, same with this too, it's all public documents.
Oh, I was more concerned about
Yeah.
completeness.
But, yeah, but both of them, we can put them both up and
All right,
let
I'm
anyone.
good with that, I was just making sure that by the time that they come walking in the door, they.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have something
Yeah.
to review.
Yeah, I'll get that up on the website first thing, probably Monday.
Including pictures,
I'm gonna go take the pictures tomorrow.
while the weather's good.
At one point in time, I did take a picture here, and the joke is my dog ate my homework. My dog ate my phone, and I did not have all of my folders set to back up because a lot of, pictures I take, so. Serious.
Sure.
She's a puppy.
I
She's a
saw-
puppy.
Shooting through everything.
I got a brand new one.
It looked like a vampire bite.
It was ridiculous.
I was gonna say, since we have an audience, did anybody have any questions or comments from that direction?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Thank
Just
you.
wanna make sure, this one's been a little informal meeting, so it's just like we didn't have the time to actually have where it was in there, so I just wanna make sure, since we have an audience, let's make sure we're inclusive.
Sir, do you have any questions?
He just loves us, doesn't he?
All right,
So page 11, you're gonna change all that anyway, because that's 2024.
yeah, I need to update some of
Update the
those,
dates.
yes. I hadn't updated dates and such yet.
So when's the next planning commission meeting?
So the next one is technically next week, but we're gonna cancel that because I don't have time to put together a public hearing.
Sure.
So I'm gonna try to get this done in time tomorrow for the next week, on Thursday, 6 p.m.
Okay.
That is my goal.
For the 30th?
And that should give me, yep,
Also, I wasn't using a slip of the tongue by saying next week.
no, next week is 23rd.
Understood.
30th is 2 weeks from now,
I'm digital, I don't look at
and
calendars.
it's 10 days, so,
So you'll need to get it, so you have to do public hearing in the newspaper.
Yep.
So however you do that, that'll have to go out
we
tomorrow.
can
to be
also,
published.
this is up, we could do it 1 week after that if you guys would like.
I was gonna say, I recently had trouble with the newspaper. They said, I can't guarantee it'll get in
Yeah.
because we're filled up.
Yeah,
Okay, well, what about the 6th? Does everyone look good on the 6th for a public hearing?
I look good all the time.
Tuesday, is that a, what?
if you
That's a
want
Thursday.
to, I think that would make
The
sense,
6th
because then we can do the 19th for our planning commission.
Okay.
And do ours as a public hearing. There shouldn't be any issues with this, with ours, because they've done this with Auburn and Garrett and Waterloo, so they've been through the gamut. And as long as you guys would approve it, or recommend approval to your county council,
Let me make
or city, sorry,
sure,
city council, we should be okay.
let me make sure there's nothing going on the 6th. I'll plan on the 6th and I'll let you guys know tomorrow.
Okay.
By anything else, I'm just making sure we're kicking back in RDC and EDC. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
neither of those were on those days.
Yeah, you just want to make sure you're on.
Yeah. So let's plan on that. That will allow us to get that off to city council for the 17th of November, because we have them first and third Wednesday, or first and third Monday.
Okay.
So that'll allow them to do that on the 17th and get a full approval from them. That will put it before the planning commission, the 19th.
The 19th, and then the county commissioners would be,
Went to Mondays,
yeah, so probably
I think we're the 26th, whatever that Monday is, that week.
24th.
24th, yeah.
So you could do the 24th and get that an effective date of December or November 24th.
Don, will that work with your schedule?
We'll make it work.
Is everyone good with that? Shoot for that?
Our signature going to be impacted into 2026, question mark?
What's that?
We're hopefully going to have that all wrapped up on 2025.
That's what that's why I'm trying to, I want to get this all done before we move into the
So
new
I
year.
want to make sure, I just didn't know if there'd be another signature or something like that.
No, definitely not.
No, I'm hoping not.
Let's get this done.
You never know with the commissioners.
It's true.
They are a headache.
We'll talk to them.
All right, that's all I have.
All right, and I don't think this was official heading, so I don't know if
We did, it's official.
All right,
Definitely close it.
do we have a motion to close?
So move.
Second? Done? All right,
All right.
thanks, everybody.
And I'm making this one, okay. So if this doesn't go on, it's not our fault.
I'll call it for tomorrow. I forgot.